I am now joined by Ben Ratner, Senior Director of EDF Plus Business. Ben, thank you ever so much for joining us here at this wonderful event. And of course, you gave a presentation yesterday. Could you give us a little bit of an understanding of what that presentation involved?
It's great to be here with you. What I focused on yesterday is that we've just started the defining decade for oil and gas in the energy transition. And so the decisions that executives make in this decade will define both the viability and relevance of their companies moving forward and the standing of their industry in the world. So that was my main focus.
And I've heard a lot of discussion about regions wanting to progress, but then maybe this might not be your area of expertise, but how politics is somehow getting in the way of that progress?
Politics can be challenging, but if you take a step back, the pressure from people almost all around the world, from increasingly investors and mainstream investors, that's building. That is a one-way direction of travel. And so the executives who we speak to who are more forward-leaning and understand where things are going, regardless of a couple political hiccups, are doing the hard work now to figure out what their business needs to look like in the future. Now, we don't expect most companies to get entirely off of oil and gas overnight, but each company, I think, will make its own strategic assessments of how to capitalize on what I call core growth areas. After all, whatever you think of exactly when oil and gas will taper off and exactly how steep that decline curve can be, something most of us can probably agree on is that the biggest growth areas in the energy industry are going to be clean. It's going to be renewable energy. It could be hydrogen. It's going to be electrification. It's going to be technologies to take emissions out of the atmosphere. And so every company, I think, should be putting their innovation agenda front and center and figuring out what is the right mix that works for them.
And funding for this clean energy, is that something that's been difficult to try and manage within different regions?
I think that what companies are going to need to do is increase the funding that they put to clean energy. Look, Fatih Birol from the International Energy Agency reminded all of us yesterday that the average annual capex from large companies for clean energy solutions is less than 1%. So we have a lot of work to do. But today, here at day 2 of the IP week, an executive from Equinor said that they want to be a wind major. And he pointed out that although returns are a little bit lower in wind today, the volatility is lower, the risk is lower, and investors want to participate because they want to be part of a lower carbon future. So I would look for an acceleration in the shift to low carbon investments. It's what many investors want. Frankly, it's what employees and young people increasingly want, and it's what society and more customers are demanding.
That's fantastic, Ben. Thank you ever so much for joining us this afternoon.